Welcome to Exponential Opportunities, where we deliver smart business growth advice from the best hustlers around. I'm Jason Trofe, and today I have the program Tommy Mello. Tommy grew his home service business to the $30 million mark with over 200 employees in 10 states by the age of 35. As founder of A1 Garage Doors, Tommy received Best Dealer Award and Super Service Award from multiple associations, including Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. A1 Garage Doors has over 417 reviews on Google with almost a 5-star average, and he's here to teach us how to do the same thing. Tommy was named top entrepreneur in Arizona under the age of 35 by the Arizona Republic, and his advice has appeared in multiple publications with millions of views, including Forbes, Inc. Magazine, Entrepreneur.com, Huffington Post, and Small Business Trends. Currently, Tommy coaches small business owners how to dominate their local area and scale their business with cutting-edge strategy and tactics. All right, Tommy Mello, I'm excited to have you on here, man. I think that you're going to do a lot of good things for the clients that we have around the country, and I wanted to just dig right into your brain and figure out how you did what you did so quickly. So, I wanted to know, what's the most common mistake that you see everyone in the local service business making?
Yeah, well, I'm excited to be here, Jason, and I'm glad you had me on. And I get really, really excited and passionate about this stuff, and I think you'll hear it throughout the podcast. But again, I got to thank you for having me on. I'm really looking forward to this, and I'll jump right into it. The biggest thing I see is so many of us jump into business, and we think, I'm a good salesman. I do this job really well. Why wouldn't I go make this money for myself? And everybody seems to jump into business and think it's going to be easy from day one, and it's not. And the first is you don't have a plan. The first most important thing you need to do when you go into business is devise an organizational chart for the business. Now, if you're like me and you started out on your own, the organizational chart exists of many hats that I would wear, but at least I got it broken down into the main categories I know I'm going to have to replace. So you start there, and then so many businesses fail to have organization and time management skills. They jump in and they don't know what they need to get done that day, and they don't have accountability. One of the things I like to say is so many entrepreneurs replace activity with productivity, and that's a huge mistake. I mean, they don't get results. And insufficient planning, financial resources, and they jump into this business and just expect things to happen to them. They say, I was making $200,000 as a salesman. I know the margins are this much, but they're really not. It's a misconception that a lot of us think, oh my God, that car costs this, but I know it only costs this to make, but there's so many other expenses. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, totally. So if there's what would you say the top actionable tips that a business can do today would be if they want to walk away from this interview and apply something in their business that actually affects their bottom line? What would be that top actionable tip?
I couldn't pick one, so I put this into a few. First of all, you need to know what your USP is. It's your unique selling proposition to the customers. And a lot of times people say, well, we're open late at night. We've got background check guys. Well, look, I have all that stuff. I mean, most businesses have that. You really got to dig deeper. See, for my business, it's garage door service. Most companies carry 10,000 cycle springs. We have 80,000 cycle springs. We try to differentiate ourselves by better parts, better technicians, and really better, faster service. And we've actually been able to quantify that when we explain it to customers. So USP, CRM. CRM is your customer relationship management system, and so many businesses fail at this. They use Excel. They use ones that they heard about. It's taken me 5 tries to find the perfect one for me. It's Service Titan. I don't make a penny by promoting them, but I will tell you this. I have every KPI you could think about with my business to create success. So CRM is super important. You familiar with The Profit with Marcus Lemon?
Yeah.
He preaches people, process, and product.
Right.
And I believe more in process, because your process dictates the people, your process dictates the product. The process develops everything within your business. So be process oriented, get great marketing, great systems, customer surveys. You got to take customer surveys. That's one of the things we're going to talk about later based on the questions. Borrow money when you don't need it. Get a line of credit. Whenever you need it, it won't be there. And it takes months and months to get it. So have that availability to have those financial services with you. And then the last one is technicians. So many of us in the home service industry just rate our guys on sales. Well, there's really 3 attributes you need to look at. You got your sales, you got your technical, which means can they actually fix it properly? A lot of times, like in the HVAC business, I realized that they sell way higher than they ever have, but the guys don't know what they're doing like they used to know. So they hire salesmen that don't really know what they're doing, and then the guy that has lower sales is the guy that ends up the warranty guy to go fix all the problems. So having a better foundation for technical, which is it starts with training. And then the third one is operational. Do you know how to use your iPad? Do you know how to not leave screws there? Do you know how to explain the warranty information? Those are 3 main key points that we forget about. And I know that was a long-winded answer, but I didn't feel like there was just one thing. I picked 5 of them. So
yeah, no, that's good. So you had a Forbes article that I read, and actually our CEO, the founder of the business, and I say that like it's all important. This is a family business. That's my dad. So he found your article. Here's how I actually found you. He brought in a Forbes article, put it in front of me, and he was like, look at this. And it's talking about exactly who we target. And, you know, it was so in line with what we do that I was like, oh, who is this guy? And I tried to contact you as in the author section, and there's no link there. So I was digging around. I had to find you, man. So I wanted to ask you specifically about that. So so the Forbes article is quality over quantity. And you mentioned that you made counterintuitive decisions, and I know this hard leap because we've made it. You made counterintuitive decisions in your marketing campaigns by focusing on the more expensive leads, and your costs went up, but your profits skyrocketed. So explain what you mean exactly.
Well, there's so many different lead sources out there, and I can tell you, I've done all of them. I've done outbound calls. I've done Craigslist. I've done stuff from Yelp, radio, TV, billboards, tons of mailers. And it really does matter on what the customer is and what they're looking for. And I'll give you a great example as a parts call, someone calling my business saying, I'm looking for a Genie remote control. Now, some people might consider that a lead, and I still consider it a lead because we could turn that into an opportunity, but that's not a great call for me. A great call is, hey, I can't get out of my garage. I think the spring's busted. Can you get somebody out here right away? So you really got to understand your demographic. In the digital media side, we call it an avatar. Who's your perfect customer? And really get in front of those people. I work out pay-for-performance deals all the time. And one of the things they make you do is buy a base buy a lot of the time. They'll say, you got to spend this much amount of money, whether it's $2,000, $5,000, depending on what you're doing. And what I've always found is if they do pay-per-click, it's great. Well, we did something a few months ago where we do our own pay-per-click. We spend 6 figures a month just on paid ads on Google. And they said, hey, we got you this many leads. And my guy who handles our PPC pay-per-click in-house, and I'm sorry to use all these acronyms, but it's pay-per-click, it's Google's paid ads. They said, hey, we got all these leads. And he brought them into me. He goes, we actually got less leads than they got for the same amount of money. But look what the revenue was. Because we track our revenue per advertising source, we ended up doing 3 times with less leads what they did with their calls. So it's so true that you really got to look at what kind of leads you're getting. And all leads are not created equal. And you really got to measure this. And it's scary what happens when you do measure it. So I go, we got rid of Home Depot. No offense to Home Depot, but in the garage door industry, it just was not making us money. There was too many problems. We weren't making enough profit. So we got to focus on the more profitable items. And maybe it costs a little bit more money. Home Depot was a free lead, but we still weren't making money. So it's just a good example for us.
Yeah, I think it's really hard to make that leap too, because you feel like you're throwing money away. Your leads go down, but you have to wait that gap where you're waiting to see what's going to happen, because you just killed your funnel, your volume. But then you could just triple your income if you're careful, if you're smart about it. So you brought up you do 6 figures in PPC. That's a big budget, man. So what marketing channels do you use? Like your entire marketing mix. What's your secret sauce for generating quality leads?
I do lead gen as a business. It's a separate side of something I work on. So I feel like there's nothing better than digital to this this day and age, but it's coupled with so many things. I mean, if you knew my marketing budget, you'd be like, dude, it's pretty nuts. But 70% of all services are found online, okay? And 70% of those are found on Google. So 49%, that's half of everything you do is found on Google. So I do believe Google's the largest company in the world now. They took over pretty much every other company. You know, there's Apple and there's Amazon, great companies, but it's Google's world right now. They're data aggregators. The reason they went into Uber is because they wanted to collect more data. So while you're driving now and you're not in control of the wheel, you're going to be Googling, they're grabbing more data. So it's pretty remarkable. Facebook is the same way, but I will say this. Unfortunately, RSVP and Money Mailer and some of the people out there get a bad name just because they want to go check out your brand online, okay? So I will tell you a secret to doing well, and yours is by far one of the best mailers we've ever done, but you got to put that, if I'm 5 stars on Google, if I'm 5 stars on Yelp, if I won the Torch Award on BBB, put that on your mailers. Use everything you can so they don't have to go look it up. And you'll actually get a lot better results that way, because it's hard to really say, you know, I got results from this when they actually went online and Google got the
credit.
What's the word I'm looking for? The
credit for the lead.
The credibility for the lead. Yeah. So, and interestingly enough, Jason, is Google rolled out a 4th algorithm. It's called Google Guaranteed.
Yeah, I saw
it. You're pretty familiar, I'm sure. Yeah. So most people listening might not know there's 4 things. There's pay-per-click, there's your local search, and local's huge. Then there's organic, and now we got a 4th one. It's called the Google Guarantee Program. They guarantee up to $2,000. They do a background check through a company called Pinkerton. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's crazy stuff, but it's not easy to get it through, but you have to do it. People say, I'm not going to waste my time. I don't do that stuff. My cost per lead went down to a third of what it was through this system. So
that's amazing.
I'd recommend getting validated. Google's job is to give their users the best experience, and us as a business pays for it. And they're doing a great job. I mean, I'm not happy of how long it took us to get through the program, especially because I'm in 10 states. But overall, we're saving money, and I'd recommend that to anybody that has their own business. It's to get that Google Guarantee stamp.
Yeah, man, I'm pushing that hard on all our clients. We have they're still rolling that out, believe it or not. It's in I don't know, at least 10 states that I know of offhand. But like late 2017, it started popping up, and now it's in
California.
Our area.
Yep.
Yeah, and now it's you know, I believe, and this is my hunch on this, is the people who are late in the game and getting Google Guaranteed are going to suffer badly, and the line to get in and get guaranteed is going to get super long, and then the bidding is going to start getting crazy. So right now, you're paying per call, not per click anymore. You can pay per call. You're actually talking to the person. That's an amazing jump. And if I'm going to be the searcher, the homeowner that goes on and looks for, my AC broke, I need something real fast, and this is guaranteed by Google up to $2,000, that is definitely who I'm calling first, for sure. And you know, and then that call is just going to steal from everybody who's paying a lot of money for SEO that is right below that. You know, I think it's going to change. It's a game changer.
It is. Google wants to own 90% of all the clicks. Google right now, believe it or not, over 60% of people still go past those paid ads.
Yep.
But you know, there's so much lobbying going on in DC right now because Google, if you go on your cell phone, they own the whole first page. You can scroll down, it's still paid stuff. So it's interesting. I still think organic is valid.
Totally got to be there.
It's still going downhill in comparison to the local search, but we're going to share a few tips here further down that I think I could really help the listeners dominate those listings.
Cool. All right, let's move on. So you have 417 reviews last I checked and a 4.7 average. I was like blown away by that. How do you do it? What's your process?
So there's I use a lot of different strategies, but the main thing is we give surveys. We give surveys through our CRM. So it's so simple. Would you use our company again? Press 1. You make it so simple. You know, you heard that old expression, KISS, keep it simple, stupid. And it really exists in everything we do. So you want to be able to identify happy customers, but then you want to be able to push them and make it simple for them to leave a good review. So we say we spread the word to everybody. Tell your friends, neighbors, family. Well, we do that through social media. And I actually made a whole video that gets sent out to everybody that's a happy customer, that gets delivered to them, email and through text message. And then all they got to do is go online. And if they say, I give them, now here's the secret sauce. You're not allowed to pay people for good reviews, but you could give them anything you want for taking a survey. I mean, have you ever got a dollar bill in the mail with a survey and you kind of feel forced to take it because you just got a buck to take it? You know what I'm talking about?
Is that what you do? You staple the dollar to the letter?
Yeah, they staple the dollar. Well, it's the same thing. It's the same process. You say, thanks for taking the survey, but my secret sauce is I got a guy that calls all the negative surveys, and he says, we need to work this out. We obviously did not do a great job, and we need to make this right. So we get in front of it. We still reward them for taking the survey, but we try to spread the word of the good stuff and get in front of the bad stuff. Yeah. And you're allowed to say, check us out on Google, check us out on Yelp. You're not allowed to say, go write me a 5-star and I'll reward you. So there's a happy medium around that.
Yeah, we got a system where we send our clients a link in the email that'll link them straight to Google or Facebook to get the review, but then Yelp's a tricky one. They won't let you link straight to it. You can suggest they go to Yelp on their own. It's about it. But how do you get around that? You're doing pretty good.
You know, Yelp's an interesting one. I don't want to give away all my secrets, but there are ways to find out if people use Yelp. See, Yelp's a tricky one because I'm not allowed to just go build a Yelp account and leave a good bad review for my brother-in-law or the company I hate. Everybody hates Yelp in the home service and most businesses. They go, forget Yelp, it's crap. I got so many things that get filtered. But little do they know, they really do think it's a Ponzi scheme. But I can tell you, I've been in the headquarters in San Francisco. I've been in the headquarters in Scottsdale. They put another one now, I think near D.C. But the fact is that Yelp trusts people that have been Yelping for a long time. Did you add your Facebook account? Did you do this? Did you do that? So I tell customers, listen, they say, I'd love to leave you a review on Yelp. I said, go ahead. But if you just built an account, there's really no point because it'll probably get filtered. Yeah. So if you do, why don't you go, the restaurant you ate at last time, and 6 months down the line when you're ready for a tune-up, review us then, and it'll probably stick. We don't have to get fancy and try to cheat the system. But I will tell you this. My friends, neighbors, family, the people that I care about, I've worked on every one of their garage doors, okay? So it's not illegal to say, go check me out on Yelp from friends, neighbors, and family. Yelp doesn't say you're not allowed to have anybody, because we work on the family and friends doors and neighbors doors. Yeah. I mean, I've done my whole cul-de-sac. I mean, every single door in there. So, there's no cheating the system, but what it is it's really voicing the good stuff and getting in front of the bad stuff. And I'll tell you what, bad companies don't like this idea because they're like, ooh, I don't want to be giving a customer a survey. I already know it's going to be shitty. And excuse me, but right. But that's the thing is that's not the way to look at this.
Yeah, totally.
You just got to get the good stuff out there and get the bad stuff contained.
Yeah. So if I asked you to put into a simple checklist, like simple terms that listeners can put into action right now to dominate their local market, what would it be? Like in order of first things to do to like long term.
Okay. So you got to build an org chart and you need to create a process. You need to have a role for each employee. You can't have people wearing multiple hats because nobody has ownership or accountability. So take the time to build an org chart and really put a process for each one. What I would do is I'd wear a blindfold to work one day, walk in and say, what do I see? Do I see people busting their butts, working hard? Do I see organization? If I was a customer, we get our blinders on so often and we don't know what customers first think. And you say we're a safe environment. We're very clean. We're respectful. But you walk into your office and you see stuff everywhere. Paper should not be on anybody's desk. You should either scan it, file it, or throw it out. All the time. There shouldn't be little notes everywhere for everything. And if you build that environment, I had a guy walk in a year ago, a consultant that was actually helping me, and he said, do you have anybody here that's 75 or older? I said, no. He said, why are there calendars up everywhere? He said, do you guys not have Google Calendar? I mean, the guy's 60. So, but that's the first thing. Number 2 is I'd start doing search engine optimization because it takes 3 to 6 months. It's not something that happens overnight. Your online credibility, reputation is so important. It takes time. I'd really focus on, some of the times we fish with a fishing pole, some of the times we fish with a huge net. And what I mean by that is go after good employees, but don't just be on Indeed or ZipRecruiter or Craigslist. Post ads everywhere. So often we'll post 2 ads on Craigslist a month, but we'll spend $100,000 on advertising. So you'll spend $70 on Craigslist, but you'll spend $100,000. Why not spend a lot more money getting the right people to do the job for you? So that's a big one. Let's see here. So and then the last thing is start thinking about getting that money, because you will not get a loan when you need it. You get a loan when you don't need it. And it's just a line of credit. You don't have to use it. But I would say today, start thinking about that, because opportunities will find you. Someday, some company's going to, another mailer company might come up to RSVP and say, look, I'm sick of it. There's a snowstorm in Milwaukee. I'm selling the whole company. I'll do it for 40 cents on the dollar. And whoever's got the money then and there is going to be able to take advantage of that if it's a good deal. So it's very important to have that in the back of your mind, because when you need it, it won't be there. But when you don't need it, it's good to have it.
Yeah.
So those were the main things for that.
That's good, man. So would you say, how would you describe a perfect lead generation machine on your front end? You have that nailed down?
Well, right now I have about 2,000 trackable phone numbers. My CRM, every single ad campaign I run has a separate phone number to it. Even the different zones for the same mailer. So, for example, at RSVP, if you had a different zone, I'd have a different tracking number, because I A/B test. The misconception that a lot of owners have is let's A/B test all of our digital, but they don't do anything with paper. They don't try anything different. And if you A/B test, and all that means is have a different call to action, have some credibility with some of the local things going on. For example, there's a retirement area that if you're part of this group, everybody wants to use your company there. So that's a big one. And remember co-op. So many people forget co-op. So many of the vendors out there will pay for part of your marketing and get that money. And we all say, well, we're going to look into that, but nobody does. That could be 10, 15, 20% of your marketing campaign.
So for anybody who doesn't understand what you mean there, explain co-op.
So co-op, an example is my garage door openers will pay me 4% if I mention their openers in an ad. So an RSVP, if it makes up a tenth of the page, they'll give me 4%. So they see a big old garage door opener there. They'll pay me back. If the marketing campaign costs $10,000, they'll give me $400 back as a check in the mail. And all these companies, whether you're in air conditioning, gutters, roofing, home services, your manufacturers will pay you. And if they don't, you need to really check that relationship out and see if it's really worth it, because is this going to be a company that's going to last the around time? I mean, literally, if they're not willing to put money into their brand, because the whole point is they're able to get their brand out there, right? The garage door openers we work with, they're like, yeah, we'll spend the money, a part of your marketing campaign, to let us be known too. So when the customer calls, they'll be asking for our product. So I think that's a pretty good definition of what co-op is. Is that what you were looking for?
Yep. Yeah, that's good. So you mentioned you use direct mail. Who do you target?
So there's a lot of analytics that we've been able to take. You got the age of the home, the income. You want to try to target homeowners, obviously. You want to target, obviously, the ones with garage doors in my case. But just think about this. If you target a home, and I live in Phoenix, so Scottsdale, a lot of homes have 3 or 4 garage doors and sometimes 4 air conditioning units and more gutters and more stucco, more painting. They want nicer things because they have more income to spend, especially in this economy. I mean, there's never been a better time. It reminds me of the 2006 and 7 times when it was just like people had so much money, but we haven't given as many bad loans, so I don't think it's a bubble. But I can tell you that people are spending money, so you want to really target the higher incomes, the discretionary incomes, and you want to have a good message to them. You want to be micro-targeted to them. If you're sending out a home in Scottsdale, don't send them a house in Florida or Michigan, because it doesn't look – don't have that on your ad. If you're sending out in a certain area, don't have 3 area codes. Have the one for that area. You know, so many people, I've seen mailers come with 5 phone numbers on them. I'm like, they're not even a local. That doesn't make sense to me. Don't have an 800 number, you know? And unfortunately, I had one of my locals with an 800 number, but we couldn't go back. But another recommendation is I like to carry my own call tracking numbers because I got burned a long time ago. That the company I had used, they own that data. And before I knew it, there was 5 other garage door companies in that mailer because they, just like the YP, Yellow Book was famous for this. They'd say, wow, you're killing it. All of a sudden, that rep goes out and sells it to 2 other companies, which is just something that, it's a recommendation that I would make is own your own numbers. But for sure, if it's the best thing you could do by getting one from the company that you're doing mailers or doing online services with, get that trackable number. My CRM tracks the revenue. So I know the amount of leads, I know the amount we booked, I know the amount we closed on, and I know the amount of revenue. And that's the ultimate advantage.
Totally. Yeah, that's what my focus, that is a big part of what I look at. It's cost per sale. Like a lot of the times people get hung up over on cost per lead or even per click. But like at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you got 1,000 clicks and didn't sell anything, you're just an expense. You know, so getting it all the way down to, like you said, getting your per lead cost and then try to get that cost down and the sale amount up, you know, spending your time really picking that apart. I think a lot of people miss that. No, I bet out of the business owners I asked, they don't even know the answer to the question, what's your cost per sale?
They don't know that answer, and it's scary because I sell leads too. I'll give them a performance base. This is how much it costs for a lead. And they go, well, that's more than my service call. I go, well, you're probably not a good client for me if you're trying to collect a service call. They're calling you with a broken thing at their home, and you're saying it's a service call? Obviously, you need to reevaluate your numbers and figure out what you could pay, because I'm giving you a guarantee. A phone call with somebody calling up requesting your service, and if you can't afford that guarantee, then you need to recheck your business plan and see if this is right, or even if you're going to be in business in the next 2 years. Because my guess is, with that kind of attitude, you won't be. I'm sorry.
And that's exactly right. A lot of the times we'll take it to the next level, and the call tracking lines, we would listen to the recording, and we'll hear people answering the phone that aren't even aware of the offer that people are calling in about. And you know, when you're on our side of this thing, you're like, oh my God, you know how hard it is to get somebody to call you, and you just act like you don't want to talk to them. I've heard them say, call me back in 2 weeks, we're booked up. I'm like, are you kidding me? They need like scripts. They need some training.
Yeah.
So
well,
it's nuts.
We'll talk about that too here in a minute.
All right. We'll move on. So, okay. So I had next that you combine or do like a 1-2 punch with direct mail and digital marketing. I know a lot of times it's hard to marry those up and find your attribution, they call it, where the lead originate, so that you can really hone in on not wasting any of your budget. So like, how do you marry the two, direct mail and digital marketing?
Well, there's a lot of technology that most people don't know about. There's a thing called geofencing, and the best way I could describe geofencing is when you walk in and you got your location on your phone, whether it's an iPhone, Droid, or smartphone. You walk in AMF Bowling Alley, it'll pop up and it'll say, leave us a review. And that's a push notification to leave a review through Google. So what people got to understand is I could target anybody. I'll give you a great example. I geofence all my competition and all the manufacturers.
That's awesome.
The guys see an ad of work for A1 when they walk in. And it's legal. It's, I want to get skilled employees. So it's like Applebee's targeting Chili's. It's fine. Totally. Pixeling on Facebook, getting back in front of them. Pixeling just means if you clicked on my ad, it'll continue to show my ad again. Retargeting on Google, display ads, programmatic targeting. I could programmatic. If I did an RSVP to a certain neighborhood in Scottsdale, I could programmatically target all those people watching Hulu tonight, then my ad will show up. So most people, and I don't want you guys, the viewers out there, to become experts in marketing. Combine yourself with a great marketing team that could do this stuff, because I had to learn this stuff myself as well. And the one thing I will say is get your vehicles wrapped, okay? This is the low-hanging fruit. This is the easiest one out there. I mean, it's the number one source of all of our calls. And you're in these high-end neighborhoods, you should have a wrapped vehicle. I bought my own vehicle wrap equipment. I spent $75,000, but I paid it back in 2 months because we're growing and I wrap all my vehicles. But you'd be surprised how many jobs I get from that phone number on the vehicle wraps. It's mind blowing how many calls we get. So that's what I'd recommend is marry it all up with digital. You definitely want to do mailer. I believe in mailers. I do so much mailers. You name it, I still do it. But also get your vehicles wrapped. I think it's very important to do all three of those.
That's awesome. So I know a lot of things are changing all the time. You know, when I got to stay on the ball, especially in the digital side of stuff we do. And I'm doing some incredible stuff in Facebook right now. I'd love to tell you about. I get like inbound phone calls from Facebook was the hardest thing I nailed down, but I nailed it down, like cracked it open, like cracked the code on that. We're just now starting to operate. But like, so with that mindset, like what's working best right now? Like changes coming, pivots you're making, things to watch out for.
Well, a lot of times you'll talk about a funnel, and I can tell you this: I became a information company. One of the gals that has a lot of help with us on our PR side, she was at a Domino's, was the head speaker at this convention, and they said, "What do you think?" The CEO came out there and he said, "What do you think we make the most money on? Is it crazy bread? Is it soda? Is it pizza? Is it pepperoni pizzas?" And everybody guessed, and he said, "No, it's data." He said, "Data is the key." So what do I have my guys write down? I know, look, we know what kind of thermostat. So if we can see the thermostat and it's a advanced Nest or something, we know that person's probably interested in more technology. So we want to update their opener, probably give them that kind of offer. The more data points you have, the more power you're going to have. Google's teaming up with Walmart to go against Amazon. Amazon just came out with home services a few years ago, and it's becoming a monster. Home Advisor just bought Angie's List. This stuff, I don't think people understand because you go, "Oh, I tried home and bullcrap." That's not the case. You guys got to understand technology is happening. Facebook is by far the #1 data aggregate because the average person spends something crazy, 6-7 hours on there. And to build a funnel on Facebook, the point that I want to make here about Facebook is you're probably hitting them higher in the funnel, whereas Google, they're coming to you ready to go today. So a lot of times Google looks more promising, but if you understand this correctly, you're grabbing a customer that's going to be ready, which will be a higher sale, and you're educating them a little higher in the funnel. But trust me, it's worth it, and you'll create more business if you learn Facebook correctly. Facebook bots are becoming really powerful, but I don't want to confuse anybody. It's like you said, it could get mind-boggling to go into it, but those are some of the
building
things.
Distribution list. That's Facebook is incredible for.
Facebook, and then so many people they build this environment that my guys are all going to quit if I start breaking out iPads, or I don't want to have to focus on a website I never have before. Why start now? Well, if you're really thinking about succession planning and how much is your business worth, you need to start thinking about technology and getting this stuff. I'm going to look at your website. That's the first thing I want to look at is how many leads are you bringing in? What is your website? What is your reputation online? And, people said Google schmoogle 5 years ago. Now people are like, "Yeah, I got to do it. Now I got to get a website. Now I got to do this. Now I got to get an iPad for my guys." Well, embrace it and forget the status quo and build an environment of change within your company, and you're going to watch amazing things happen.
Yeah, staying in front of it instead of trying to catch up when you have to. Because
Exactly.
then you're so far behind in the competition. So I know you have a coaching program and you're doing amazing with that. What's the biggest value bomb your coaching program offers business owners?
So we really dive into an 8-step KPI process around your business. And we do a listening session. I just really want to hear because, believe it or not, Jason, sometimes we could help you. Sometimes we could point you in the right direction. Sometimes it might not be the right time for a company like us. But I got to ask you, for me, I've always done better with somebody that taught me how to work out, even though I know how to work out, but it's accountability, right? I mean, have you ever had a coach that a trainer?
Yeah, when I have a trainer, I'm in much better shape just because he pushes me and makes me show up.
Yeah, and your diet's better and everything. Yeah. It's accountability. So we dive in and we teach business about the 8 key elements, and we drill into things like your average ticket. We dive into things like, how are you attracting A players? We dive into things, what's your booking rate? I can tell you that the best companies in the world, the very, very best, hover around 80, 90, 90%. If you don't measure it, you're never going to know. And right now, a lot of people are probably saying, you know what? It's my wife, daughter, cousin, people that have worked for me for 10 years. We're probably booking 80%. You're booking 55 or less, guaranteed. And I can show you, it's so easy how to measure it. There's so many companies out there that measure it. Next, I want to look at what's your average. There's so many KPIs that we need to understand. And if you don't even measure those things, we could give you simple, cheap, affordable tools that allow you to measure them. And don't advertise more until you fix these problems. Average ticket, conversion rates, booking rates. Those are the things we'll dive into, because I love marketing. I love sales. And if you figure out these 8 KPIs, you could go a ton with them. But the more than anything is accountability. You know, accountability is everything. So having an accountability coach is really what we are, is saying, what's the most important thing you need to get done this week to get you to where you want to be? And we can help you do that.
Yeah, that's great. That's absolutely phenomenal, man. I can't wait to see some of your clients and see if maybe some of our clients and you get together. I think that'd be a great thing. With any parting words of wisdom.
You know, we do that discovery call. It's homeserviceexpert.com / discovery call. It's discovery-call. It's 30 minutes. It's free. We don't charge any money to do it, but the most important thing is really accountability is what it all comes down to. When you walk in your office, I want you to really think about this, because I've done it a lot. I write down everything I got accomplished during a day, and a lot of times at the end of the week, we might have not got results. And we really need to ask ourselves, are we prioritizing right? Are we really going after the biggest things that's going to affect our business? And so many people, this is kind of cliche, but we work too hard in our business. We never work on our business. We find ourselves running around saying, I don't have enough time in the day. But then you look back and say, man, I spent the whole day putting out fires. But what if we could help you to create 0 fires and actually act like a real leader within your business and get you results and get you that life you've always wanted? Now, it doesn't happen overnight. And just like a trainer, they can't give you the body, but they could give you the will and help you get there. So I think that that's half the battle, is really taking the time to help you create accountability for yourself and pushing you to that next level. And that's what we try to do. And if we could do it, great. Some of the times we can't do it for our clients, but we'll tell you that up front. So that would be my final words of wisdom.
That's great, man. That's great. You know what? I wanted to mention this. What is your funnel on Facebook? I didn't plan on this, but I just had the thought. I wonder what you're doing. You want to share?
So, no, yeah, there's a few different things, because what we recently did is we got into really, really high-end, we build our own custom doors. So part of the process that we've come up with is actually education. So we teach people that 40% of your curb appeal is your garage door. One of my buddies, and I'll tell you more about that, but one of my buddies spends $10,000 a day on Facebook. He actually takes high debt. So whether you're in school debt, credit card debt, and he's the one that taught me this process. He said, he put out this ad, how I went from a 430 credit score to a 620 within 2 months. And it takes over 20 hours to convert to a lead, but they go to a squeeze page. So everything leads to a squeeze page where they can get a free step-by-step on how to do it. And then they just remarket to this person and say, let us get on the call with you. We'll show you how to do it. And it's amazing, because the money that he brings in from this is, if I told you the numbers, I mean, he's multi-millionaire. But the fact is, the whole point is to grab that data. And now one of the things that I'm focusing on with another business with a colleague of mine is webinars. Driving people to a webinar is massive, because the emails always go through from webinars. And GoToMeeting is the biggest one, GoToWebinar. And I recommend that the best, because you could A/B test it. And once you get the perfect webinar, you just play it and you answer questions along the way. I mean, those are some of the keys that I recommend with Facebook. But what's working for you right now?
The best campaigns I have running right now are for mold. It's a sort of, I call it the mold scare campaign, and I sort of bundle it up, because we run campaigns all the time, and I see like bird's eye view kind of thing of like little pieces that were working. So I put it all together, And the long story short, the business owner gets text messages all day long with phone numbers and emails and names, and he just clicks them and calls them. And I tell him, call them within 5 minutes, and if they don't answer, call them again. And then the actual prospect from Facebook, they get an email drip, so they're in that world, and then they also get a text alert. The prospect, the client, the lead gets a text alert, and then they get a call from the business owner, and then they also have a call tracking line so they can call back. And the whole thing is sort of, it's predicated on a first call basis. So here's your voucher, but you have to activate it, and it's on a first call basis. So if you don't call in, this is a useless voucher. So it prompts them to make the call in, and it's making them make the call. So I mean, it went from like what you said, top of the funnel stuff. It's hard to get from there to direct response. So
right.
I got it. I cracked it wide open. A direct response. We're getting phone calls every day, and then we're getting emails, and we're getting text messages, and it triggers the campaigns for remarketing, and all this stuff is like.
So give me an example. Just tell me real quick. So you've got all the home services, you've got all kinds of stuff in there. So give me an example of how that works, because I understand. We use Twilio on everything pretty much. We built our own API into that with a lot of stuff. But go ahead, give me an example.
Yeah, we use Twilio. We use, like, same with you. We've gone through so many CRMs and stuff. But so to get nerdy about it, we have the Facebook lead ad, right? The different campaigns you can choose.
Right.
It's the lead ad, because sending them outside of Facebook to a landing page, the conversion rate compared to a lead ad, not sending them out of the Facebook world, it was so much higher. So the landing page, we send them to that after the thank you. So they get to the thank you page, and then to download the voucher, it goes to the landing page after that. So I'm going to give you an HVAC lead generator right now. It's a mold scare news story, right? So HVAC's one of those things where it's like an emergency. You go to Google and you just search, and then you go down and you call the best review site, probably pretty quick. That's how you do it. That's how the lead normally gets captured. So it's hard for HVAC to direct response it, because you don't need it all the time. So this is working really well right now for them. So it's a mold scare news story, and I call it a scare, but it's a real news story about getting a mold, and it prompts them to get a mold inspection. It goes over a family who broke open a wall to remodel or to get some mold out of the bathroom wall. It broke open mold spores. Their kids got sick. The parents got sick. They developed things like diabetes and vertigo and chronic fatigue in children. It was horrible. But that news story, the video gets thousands of views. The HVAC company site, which you never get likes and follows and comments and shares, it's getting that. It's getting people will tag their friends on the story, and then it drives them at the end of the video to get a free mold inspection. And that's where you capture the lead. And then you're heading out there, and now you got this relationship with homeowners. And on Facebook, the targeting is so robust. You can put the income range high, you can put the home ownership, you can put home value range in there. So the relationships are going great. I will say this, though, there's holes in their targeting. But you still get the leads that you meant to target, but we're also getting tenants in there by accident. So you have to put in the copy, homeowner must be present to redeem. Homeowner, landlord must be present to redeem this voucher. So you don't get a tenant falling through the cracks, which they will if you don't say that. And then you got to double check on the phone. But then then after that, it's really, like I was saying, you got to get to the end converted sale. That's what really matters, or you're gonna turn it off. So we make sure the follow-up is really, really immediate. So the prospect gets a text right away. He also gets an email right away. And the text has a phone number direct to the business owner. And then the business owner also gets that text at the same time, and he gets the phone number and the email of the person. So they're directly linking right then. Right. And it's it's good, man. It works really well.
So one of the things, Harvard came out with a study in 2012 that, don't quote me on this, but you're 7 times more likely if you call within a half an hour, and 60 times more likely within 24 hours. But what we did is we actually built a process to where the form gets submitted. When that form gets submitted, the person on the other side, the customer, gets a text, "Hey, really excited you're calling about our service. We'll be reaching out to you in the next couple minutes. Expect a number from this number." So they know to answer. And then literally it calls me in 2 minutes, the business owner, except it's one of my CSRs. And then it says, press 1 to connect with prospect. So now it's a real phone call. It's pushing it no matter what. You don't have a choice. I've got a call center. It makes it even easier to make that happen. It's just one of the steps we took further because, and then guess what happens? If my CSRs don't answer that, there's going to be hell to pay. But that way we're touching base with them in real time, and it's so important. And to let the client know, expect a call from this number, and it's pushing it. And we built all this through Twilio. But one of the things, you reminded me of one small thing I just wanted to add is I met with a guy. I'm not going to go into names or companies, but the guy is one of the biggest in Arizona. You know, he's all over the place. If I mentioned him, most people would know who he is. But half of his team was calling outbound, and they were calling I think he's got 30,000 service agreements. And he said, Tommy, let me tell you one thing about this business. This blew me away. He goes, 75% of the service agreements we run, we're going to collect more than $100 on. 25% we just go there, change the filters, do what we need to do, clean the coil, whatever. 40% of them, they moved it from 25 to 40 over the last 2 years. We're going to sell a new unit. And he goes, because we know the exact age, we know what's going to save them money, and we've got all this stuff. So the people calling outbound are setting us up and setting up the right guy to go there to have the right things to say, it's time. Based on last year's evaluation, which you need, the technology. Those are crazy stats. Over 60% of his income comes from the service agreements because of the future sales. It's not about reoccurring income as much as it is about you being that company that's out there every year. So if you're a garage door company, you're out there. When they're ready to replace it, you're there. So service agreements are the ultimate machine when it comes to home service. I don't care what it is. They didn't think it was possible in the garage door industry. We did it. So
that is an incredible point. Data. So you said you can. Did they already have the information because they sold the original unit, or you can actually buy the data? So you get the dates. Unit?
Look, you got the dates. You got the thermostat model they have on there. You got the last time. You got the. They're taking all these KPIs off of the unit.
So after they go there, then that's how they get the date. You can't target by data unit.
You can't target until you grab that data. So the service agreements, that's why they do a $9.99 will change your filters, because they're grabbing that data. The whole goal of going out there is not to sell them a bunch of stuff. It's to get them that service contract. Because guess what? If you got a service contract with your Mercedes at the dealership, do you think you're going to go to AMCO for a transmission? Or you're going to go back to that dealership. You've got a service agreement. You're getting cheaper parts. You're getting better service. You're going to that company. The service agreements, who cares what you charge for it? The fact is you're there every time. And trust me, there's houses in Scottsdale that will spend $50,000 on 5 wood overlay garage doors. So the point is, get in front of the right customers, which RSVP helps you do, but sell that service agreement. There's more money in service agreements. And if you know about selling a company, they go off of EBITDA. Most companies will get 3 to 5 times EBITDA. If you're lucky, you could get 10. If you sell service agreements, you're going to get 15 to 20 times. Basically, EBITDA is profit, earnings before interest, tax, and appreciation. So it's mind-boggling. It blew my mind, and I hope it blows some of your listeners, because it was an amazing lesson for me, and it got me excited, again, about my service contracts.
That's awesome. Well, that's great, man. I'm really glad to meet you. I hope I get to talk to you again.
Yeah, we will, for sure.
Yeah, it's good, dude. So, if you don't have anything else, you got anything else you want to add? Anything you left out?
No, man, I think I hit everything. I'm just, we launched a podcast. Maybe I could get you on mine. It's the homeserviceexpert.com/podcast. Been interviewing a lot of cool people. So homeserviceexpert.com/podcast. And, I had a great time. And honestly, I really do. I use your mailers. It's funny because they do very, very, very well. I met a guy that does, this is the last thing I'll finish up on. I met a guy that does custom doors, entry doors, security doors. And I said, what's your best advertising? And this was 2 weeks ago. He said, have you ever heard of RSVP? I said, yeah, I use them. He goes, RSVP is my #1 advertising source I use. I said, huh. I said, that's amazing. Do you use Google or anything? He's like, yeah, of course we use pay-per-click and everything, but we kill it because they actually see an image. It's a beautiful door on the house, on their type of home. So, it really is a lot of people that mailers aren't working for are not doing them right. I could guarantee you that.
Yeah.
So
that's so true. That's good, man. So we'll meet again. Until then,
All right,
I'm Jason Trofe from RSVP. You're watching Exponential Opportunities, where we help business owners grow.